If you've already hopped on Off the Grid, you might be confused as to what the hell is going on, especially since in its current early access, there's no tutorial to guide you. Now you're just standing there overwhelmed until you eventually end up dead. But I'm here to tell you that winning a match is definitely possible. It just starts with understanding the game's basics. I'm Likeable and I'm the newest face here on the Polemos channel. I'll be covering the latest Web3 games as well as guides to help you along the way. If at any point you start to feel a little lost, then feel free to scrub through the chapters down at the timeline or check out the timestamps at our description. But with that said, let's make your off-the-grid experience a little more likable. Technically speaking, it's a new era of Battle Royale. But in this video, we'll be focusing on what is currently available in the game, Extraction Royale. If you're not familiar with games like Escape from Tarkov or Call of Duty, this might sound confusing, but we can break it down into two main parts. The first part is Battle Royale. The core of the game is essentially the last squad standing wins. You start by flying over Teardrop Island with your squad of 3, you choose a drop spot on the map, and you use your jetpack to glide over safely. Then, the looting simulator begins. And as you do this, your main target is to acquire cash, hexes, weapons, and cyberlimbs. When looting for cyber arms, take note that there are icons to indicate which arm they'll be attached to. I've made the mistake of thinking that the arms could be attached either way, and I ended up not picking up anything or just switching back and forth between my right arm. Good times! Nonetheless, we will be doing a deeper dive into cyber arms and legs later on in the video. As the game progresses, you'll need to work effectively with your teammates to take out any opponent you meet along the way. Now, the way BR works is that the game will push you to keep encountering other squads through the zoning system. When you open your map, you should see a circle, which in the game is called the grid. The outer parts of the grid are called the overloaded zones, and you receive ticking damage to your HP the more you stay in that zone. The longer the game is, the more painful that damage becomes, and the less you can sustain being outside of the safe zone. This is why you need to stay off the grid. Now, the good thing about OTG is that dying early doesn't mean you're out for good. The game has an auto respawn feature for the first few minutes. Once you see this icon at the side of your map, it only means that auto respawns are no longer active. So if you die after that, your teammates will need to find a redeployment terminal and pay for your return. That's why even though the lobby only has a 60-player capacity, it will never feel that way. Now, the better your placement, kills, assists, and hex extracted, the more in-game currency, aka gun tokens, and XP you gain. The next part is where things get more fun and complex. Extraction. The concept of extraction, simply put, is just yanking something outside of the game and putting it into your personal inventory. You'll need to loot until you find a hex, and then deposit that hex at a hextractor. Hextractors can be found in key areas like Osseo, Stork City, Little Kiev, Salty, and the outskirt areas. But extracting isn't as easy as it sounds. Once you pick up a hex, your location will be visible to enemies on the map, and you'll have a red trail on you, making you susceptible to ambushes. Not to mention, if you manage to deliver a hex to a hextractor, squads are bound to pop up because not only does the game announce where extraction is taking place, it also allows other players to disrupt the process. Long story short, be prepared to fight once you pick up that sweet and alluring hex. Should you do all of that successfully, you'll be able to decode the hexes to acquire assets like weapons, cosmetics, cyberlimbs, and attachments, which can all be added to your loadout. And the assets you decode can vary in terms of quality. For example, if you manage to get a common weapon, that will only come with a single attachment, versus an epic weapon that gets up to 4 attachments. To decode hexes, you'll need gun tokens that's visible at the upper right corner of your home screen. This is the same token you earn from playing the game and completing missions. Next up is Loadouts. Your loadout is the most important pre-game preparation you'll need. Here, you'll customize the equipment you plan to use in the game. Once you're in the Battle Royale, you can order your personal loadout to be delivered straight to your doorstep. However, I don't recommend going overboard since the better the equipment in your loadout, the more it costs to order. Meaning you'll need to loot more to afford it, so balance your choices carefully. Next up, let's dive into the items and abilities in the game. For weapons, you have the standard categories: assault rifles, SMGs, LMGs, shotguns, sniper rifles, marksman rifles, and your pistols. Your choice of weapon depends on your playstyle. So for mid to short range fights, assault rifles and LMGs are great. But if you prefer rushing opponents head-on, SMGs and shotguns are your best bet. And by the way, shotguns, in my opinion, are kinda OP right now. For long-range engagements, sniper and marksman rifles are ideal. Attachments help stabilize your gun's recoil and improve tracking. Now the main selling point of the game is this next part. Off the Grid offers a unique mechanic that involves looting special abilities that come in the form of Cyberlimbs. You can choose from 13 different cyberarm options, namely Ghost, Paralyzer, Buzzkilla, Recon Drone, Slam Fist, Hookshot, Ripper, Kinetic Shield, Javelina, Phosphor Fury, Trip Mine, Slugger, and Skunk Paw. The left and right cyber arms can have different abilities, so the combinations are limitless. As for the cyber legs, we have the Hammerheads, Sleepers, Roadrunners, and Thumpers. You can swap them out anytime you find another arm or leg in the game. Be careful though, you can also get completely mutilated. My big tip for finding your ideal loadout is to just try out everything in the range. To find the range, you just need to click on your loadout and look for the tryout zone. From there, you can either choose the gun range or the Cyberlimb range. Here, you can try out everything, and you'll be able to figure out which combination works best for your playstyle. By now, you should have a clearer idea on how the game works. But just to be clear, here's a quick recap of the flow. You enter the lobby, you drop down from the plane, you loot for guns, arms, legs, money, and hexes. You order your loadout, you extract hexes, and defend the hex while extraction is ongoing. You kill opponents as you go along, and you rinse and repeat all of that up until you win the match. There are also side missions, aka teardrop ops, that grant you extra money.
Teardrop op initiated.
These could come in the form of bounties, drone shooting, or something else.
Completed. Bonus reward granted.
One of my beginner tips is just to experiment with the Cyberlimb combinations. For example, to delay the enemy and add damage, you can try out Slugger plus Phosphor Fury and see what happens next. Syncing up with your teammates is crucial too. I mean, imagine having a dedicated flanker with a Ghost Cyber Arm, a teammate that's dedicated to getting the intel on the enemy's position by having the Recon Drone equipped, and a Javelina teammate to bombard the enemy with damage. Your team could have up to 6 different cyber arms and 3 legs, so the possibilities are endless. Another tip is to get familiar with the map. With any battle royale, map awareness is crucial. Knowing where to rotate despite the grid and knowing how to navigate through buildings is key to outmaneuvering enemies and securing a dub. It's important to highlight that Off the Grid is a Web3 game. I know it can be easy to overlook that, especially since you're not required to purchase any NFTs to play the game. The NFT aspect is completely optional, which makes the game much more accessible to Web2 players and traditional gamers. For those who are interested in the NFT mechanics, here's the breakdown. By playing Off the Grid, you earn gun tokens, which are part of the Gun's blockchain platform that supports the game. Gun tokens are yet to be available in the mainnet, but you can use them to decode hexes and obtain in-game assets, aka their NFTs, which you can then sell or trade over at the Guns Marketplace. But you can only have access to the Guns Marketplace by subscribing to OTG Pro, the game's paid subscription service. OTG Pro provides several perks, including more gun tokens, extra loadout slots, a higher earning rate, again, marketplace access, the Battle Pass, and more. Is it a pay-to-win mechanic? It's too early to say for sure, so we'll have to wait for the official release to make that judgment. As of now, Off the Grid is still in its early stages and is very much a work in progress. I've experienced frame rate drops even with an RTX 4090, and this might also explain why filling up lobbies in Asia can be tough. You're already lucky if 12 out of the 20 squads are filled. However, since we're still in beta, the OTG team is actively working on optimizing the game. Hopefully, by the time of its full release, it will be more accessible to a broader player base. In the meantime, if you are struggling to fill lobbies, you can switch to a different server region. Since OTG servers are global, you could find yourself going up against well-known streamers like Ninja or Tim the Tatman.
That guy has $7!
Just be ready to trade some ping for the full lobby experience. Unless you're a seasoned Battle Royale player, learning Off the Grid won't be easy. But that's okay, because it just means that it'll take a little more time and practice for you to master. Keep playing and you'll get there. But that's it for my debut here on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to Polemos for more Off the Grid updates as well as Web3 updates. Likeable out!